Hey everyone, this is Rachel at StudioUs with another at-home drawing tutorial for you guys. Today we're starting to celebrate our May the 4th series with a special picture of Baby Yoda, so grab your supplies and we'll get started. The first thing you need is a blank piece of paper as well as a drawing pencil, a Sharpie marker, and a large eraser to clean off all your pencil lines at the end of the picture. We're going to start off with Baby Yoda's body, so I'm going to look for about the middle of my page, both horizontally and vertically. And I see that the top is just a little bit over that horizontal middle. The sides kind of take up about a third of the picture. Start dotting out my shape. So the top curves a little bit. The sides are tricky because they come straight down and then kind of flare out, so I'm going to build those going farther and farther out as we go down. Give myself a quick mark for the bottom, and that one kind of folds over. I'm giving myself that little center line. The bottom on the right is a little shorter than the bottom on the left. Flaring out the bottom on the left side and then curving it around. Take a few minutes to make sure your shape is looking just right. So I'm kind of building the curves in mine out a little bit more to make sure that they're looking just like I see them on the picture. Once I've got it dotted out, I can go ahead and draw it in. I'll do some last little fine detail tuning here to make sure my lines are looking just right. And we're ready to move on to the next step. So we're going to add in Baby Yoda's head. So I'm going to mark out where I see the head crossing over the line for the body, about how far into the body it goes, dot out my curve, and about how far out of the body it goes, looking carefully at how much room is left between the top of the head and the top of my paper. I'll dot the rest of that curved shape out and then draw it in. Alright, time to add in Baby Yoda's ears. So I'm going to mark out about how far out they go toward the top corners of that paper, and also where I see them connecting to the head at the top and the bottom. That top line kind of curves very slightly, and this bottom line kind of switches, so it curves inward and then pops back out. So it's got the very, very slightest little S curve coming around. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to mark where I see it starting and ending. And I notice it goes right through that corner edge of his body. And then we'll draw those lines in. I want that ear to pop out a little bit more. It should be really rounded. So don't be afraid to fine tune your lines. If you look at it and see that you need to make it a little wider or a little more narrow, go ahead and do a few touch-ups. Next, we're going to start on our frog's head. I'm going to mark out my top, bottom, and sides. And notice that the sides are a little lower, they're not right in the middle, because we want kind of a rounded triangle shape. So the head should be kind of the pointy part of the triangle, and then the lower part where his cheeks are should be more rounded and flat. Alright, we're adding in two curves to get the frog's eyes, so I mark where they start and end, and then curve it up and around. And we're going to get those pretty much right center on the frog's head. We're also adding a couple lines for Baby Yoda's robe to make it look like it's wrapping around him. It comes right out where the corner of the ear hits his face, and then goes down to where the corner of the frog's eye hits the frog's face. Next, we'll erase out all the lines inside our frog's face. And we'll clear out any lines left over from the face overlapping the robe. And any lines on that left ear. If anything got erased, darken it up. And we're ready to move on. We're adding the frog's body. This is just kind of a little bit of a flatter oval shape coming around. We don't see the whole oval, it's just the bottom part of it. And then we're going to get the eyes. So I'm going to mark out where I see it crossing over on Baby Yoda's face. Notice that it stays entirely inside that ear shape where it comes out a little bit. Then I mark out my width and sketch it in. Same for that other eye. I'm going to mark out how high I see it going. It should be the same height as the first eye that I did. And then just draw in a circle. The two eyes should be the same height, but the one on the right should be a little more narrow, whereas the one on the left should be a nice perfect circle. Alright, we're adding in some eyelids. So these are just bigger curves going around the circles we already have. Notice that the one on the right still stays entirely inside that ear shape. The one on the left stays within the lines, it doesn't overlap the ear at all, and kind of works around the eye. Adding in some arms, I'm going to look at how close they get to our frog body first. We kind of curve around the frog body, then come out and create a little elbow. So I can use that frog to tell how long the arms should be, where they should start. So I'm looking for right at that corner. It almost touches the frog, but not quite. This one comes down a little bit farther. And we get a little bit of a wavy line and our elbow. Alright, a little bit of erasing in the eye to get that line where the side of his face goes through his eye. And we're going to erase out the lines going through the arms to make them look like they're connected to the body. Next, we're adding some little details in the ears. So I'm going to mark where that line starts, and it curves all the way out to the tip of the ear. Got a little curved line at the bottom too. And the next ear is a little trickier, so I want to mark where I see it ending. Curve my line down to there. Then we get a more rounded line to make the inside of his ear. And a little curvy line to connect it all. Alright, we're giving Baby Yoda some hands. So he's just got two little fingers holding on to that frog on either side. And then for the feet, we're just going to do two little bumpy toes and long legs for the frog. For his front legs and his back legs. And they're just kind of dangling there. The bottom leg should touch the top of the fold in Baby Yoda's robe. There we go. Alright, we're adding the details. So we're going to get a couple wrinkles in the neck of Baby Yoda's robe. Connect that line down to the arm so it's got his little neckline. I'm just looking at which line's longer, which line's shorter there. Can give him some face details, so we're going to add in his little cheeks. top and bottom curved lines for the nose, and a little sideways smile. And most important for the Yoda, a couple little forehead wrinkles. Real quick, we're going to erase the lines where the frog's body overlaps Baby Yoda's hands and where the head connects to the neck. So we're curving around the sleeves there and adding in a couple little fingernails for Yoda. Alright, giving our little frog a face. He's got a tiny mouth up by the top of his face, two little eyes, and those curved parts that come up off his head, a little bit of shine in those, and a couple little rosy cheeks on either side to make him look super cute. And finally, we're going to add the shine and details in Yoda's eyes. So I do the little shiny bits first, and then we'll come around and draw those big pupils in. You want these to be really big, so he's got those big, shiny, cute eyes. And there you have it. We've got our Baby Yoda all drawn. Let's go ahead and do the Sharpie lines real quick, and then we can color them in. And once you've finished your Sharpie lines, grab an eraser, clear off all the pencil underneath that, and we'll get started coloring. To start out, we're going to take a yellow-orange, carefully outline all of the outside edges of our Baby Yoda, and then we'll fill in the background. Alright, we've got our background filled in. I'm going to take a seafoam green, and I'm going to be very careful to leave out the lightest highlights on Yoda's body. So you can see there are some very, very light spaces that are like a pale green or a white. We're going to leave those white for now, since we don't have a lighter green marker. And just very carefully color around all those little highlights to color in the rest of Yoda's head. Alright, we've got all those greens on there. I'm also going to get the lightest highlights on the frog, just on the tops of his face and on the edges of his hands. After that, we're going to go in with a green. First thing I'm going to do is color in the rest of the body of the frog. Careful not to go over my highlights. With that same green, we can also go in and get all of the shadows on Baby Yoda's face. So looking for any of those darker green lines underneath some of his wrinkles or at the bottoms of his ears, anywhere you see a little bit of a shadow. Alright, we're going to take an emerald green or a much darker green and get all of the shadows on the frog. Just like we did with Yoda's face, look for any of the darker little lines and color those in with that emerald green. If you don't have an emerald green, you can also layer a second layer of green over the first green. Next, we'll take a coral pink, color in the cheeks and the ears on Yoda. Alright, looking good so far. We're going to grab a gray and just lightly go over those shadows on the pink in his ears to create that darker kind of grayish pink color. Next, we're going to start working on Baby Yoda's clothes. So I'm going to take my lightest tan color or beige and color in the neck part of his coat. And again, just like I did with the face, I'm leaving out the white highlights and just coloring that middle color. That way we can get a highlight, a mid-tone, and a shadow on there. Next, we'll take a tan. And for the bottom part of his coat, I'm just going to color in the highlights. So that's that lightest brown color you see just on the edges of some of the pieces of his coat. So mark those out and color them in real quick. We can also use that same color to get the little highlights in his eyes just on the top edges. After that, I'm going to use a medium brown color I think this color is called Tawny. I'm going to color in the rest of Baby Yoda's coat. Alright, he's getting pretty close to being done now. I'm going to take a brown and color in the brown parts of his eyes. Again, being very careful not to get the highlight I put up there. We can use that same color to get the darkest shadows on his coat. So anywhere where it's that very, very dark brown you see, we can get those little shadows in. And notice that I outline where the shadow goes first and then color it in. Next we can use a Sharpie marker or a black Crayola marker and color in the eyes. Get the eyes and mouth on the frog as well. And we've got to take care of those hands, right? So we'll use our seafoam green, our regular green, and our emerald green to get the shadows and the fingernails. And we'll finish up by using a Sharpie to color in those little loopy spots on his coat. And that'll do it for Baby Yoda. Hope you had a great time, and may the 4th be with you.